Welcome back. Now we are still following up the U.S.-Israeli joint strikes on Iran and the Iranian reactions to those strikes, as well as developments in the Gulf area and the Middle East region. And earlier, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has asserted that the war and the current regional war is the topic of the hour, adding that Egypt spared no effort over the past months to avoid its eruption. The president noted that Egypt tried to close ranks between the United States and Iran to help them reach a deal, given that wars have their repercussions on all neighboring countries. The president made these remarks as he attended the annual iftar ceremony organized by the armed forces, which coincides with the 10th of Ramadan war victory. The head of state added that there was no cause for concern, as the government has been careful to secure necessary reserves. President Sisi said it was essential that the state and the people stand united. And also Minister of Civil Aviation Hifni is following up on the operation of the Ministry's Central Operation Room in coordination with Cairo Center for Aerial Aviation Navigation, the Cairo International Airport Crisis Chamber, the Integrated Operation Center, as well as concerned bodies. The minister urged raising a red alert at the Cairo International Airport and all Egyptian airports, given the possibility of receiving cross flights or emergency landings. He also instructed taking all procedures needed to ensure the safety and efficiency of flights operation amid turbulent regional developments. Also, the Iranian Red Crescent Society said on Monday that the U.S.-Israeli airstrikes campaign targeting Iran has killed at least 555 people so far, and the society added that 131 cities have come under attack so far in the war. And also, as we are following up the situation, several U.S. military aircraft crashed in Kuwait early on Monday, but all crew members survived and were in stable condition. And in a separate incident, smoke was seen rising from the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy compound in Kuwait City, and fire trucks and ambulances were in the area. Kuwait intercepted hostile drones earlier on Monday, the third consecutive day of Iranian strikes on neighboring Gulf states in response to U.S. and Israeli attacks on Iran. And Iran's state media cited the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps as saying Iranian armed forces hit a U.S. plane that crashed in Kuwait. Elsewhere, 2 workers were slightly injured by falling debris at a Kuwaiti refinery. Tehran said it would target U.S. bases in the region after the U.S. and Israel launched strikes on Iran on Saturday. And now we are joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador.
Good afternoon, how are you?
So, sir, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, in his meeting yesterday at Iftar Banquet, has asserted that the current regional war as the topic of the hour, and that Egypt spared no effort over the past months to avoid its eruptions. And they said that Egypt tried to close ranks between the United States and Iran to help them reach a deal, given that wars have repercussions on all neighboring countries. How do you see the attempts by the Egyptian diplomacy to solve this crisis?
On one side, we thank God that Egypt although we are facing a very complicated situation in the whole world, on our region also, but Egypt is still standing on very solid position, and that's why we are free to intervene between all those parties who are killing each other without a reason, I see. And Egypt and the Egyptian internal front and the external front is very solid. And you will realize that many countries depend on our efforts in order to bring the two parties who are killing each other to come back to the negotiation table. They were negotiating in Geneva. I don't know what happened. Then one of a sudden, the United States and Israel decided to start striking Iran and killing some very high officials there. So then Iran is fighting back, and then Iran to the United States is very far. So they start to drop their armies on the camps of the United States in the Arab states in the Gulf. And this is very dangerous because it kills also Arab citizens which are not in this conflict at all. So thank God that Egypt is still very strong, standing on very strong position, and we are trying to contact on daily basis, on hour to hour, with the Americans, with the Iranians, and we hope we can help to stop this silly war. It is not reasonable at all what is happening.
So, sir, what are the repercussions of this war on the Middle East in general and on Egypt in particular?
Although it is not affecting us directly, but of course it is affecting us indirectly, because it is dangerous now to fly in our region. So many air flights have stopped their flight.
Yes.
This will, of course, affect us. Tourism is in danger. The navigation in Suez Canal and the Red Sea is in danger. So we are, whether we like it or not, we are affected by this silly war, and that's why we have also interest to stop it, and we are trying to do our best. Mind you that the international system of legality cannot work. The United Nations is paralyzed because of these actions. European Union cannot do anything because they told us quite frankly they are a big regional the European Union, I mean. They are a big regional coalition, but they are very weak when it comes to military or security power. They depend totally on whatever United States is deciding. So we don't have a serious party who can tell the Americans to stop this war. And I cannot imagine that Iran will stop silence when it was attacked on daily basis from hour to hour, and many high officials of Iran were killed not in the war but by bombing them in their premises. So, very strange situation, and I don't see in the near future any escape from this. But let us hope that Egypt and with other countries who are still in a good position can play the mediator role and to stop this war.
Also, sir, we have seen Hezbollah entering the war. So do you expect further escalations? Do you expect more parties to get involved in this conflict?
I am quite reserved to talk about Hezbollah because we have failure on our position as Arabs. Yes. Hezbollah is one of them. It is a state within the state. They do not abide to their government in Lebanon. Same thing in Yemen, where they are two parties killing each other. In Syria, the situation is very bad.
Yes.
Take Sudan in the south of Egypt. It's not in good health at all. So we have internal problems, and we are not helping ourselves. Anyway, with Egypt and the Gulf states who are still standing, also Morocco or Algeria, we are trying to do our best in order to mediate, in order to stop this war. Because although we are not attacked, although we are not engaged in the war, but it is affecting us indirectly in the fields which I mentioned before.
So, sir, do you think that this war aims at putting pressure on Iran to sit on negotiating table, or it is expected to last for long?
But Iran was already on this negotiating table, yes. But it has a position. The game of the zero-sum game, which we call in negotiation, if you accept to enter the negotiation room, then you have to give something in order to take something. But it seems that the Israelis and the Americans want to take 100% of the game without letting any breeze for the Iranians. And I don't know what problem with Iran here about their nuclear activities. Nobody can say that Iran is producing an atomic bomb. And here we asked the Minister of Defense of the United States when he visited Egypt some years ago during the Obama administration, why you are so angry and so nervous when it comes to Iran or North Korea, and you are keeping silent when Israel. It's not a secret that Israel has 300 nuclear warheads. Why don't you ask them? The answer was funny. They said because Israel is a democratic country, Iran and North Korea are not. My goodness, which answer is that? And we told him, if you are bombed, if you are the victim and you are bombed with a democratic bomb, with this will be satisfactory to you? It's funny. Anyway, it is unjust what is going on, and nobody can accuse Iran that it is producing a nuclear bomb. And let me be more frank to you and to our audience. Suppose that Iran decided that it will produce a nuclear bomb. Why should we prevent them while we allow this to Israel and to other countries? This is something which we do not understand at all.
Yes.
So my point that it is a very complicated case. We cannot do anything about it. But with the good approach of Egypt and other Arab countries, maybe we can reach something that we convince the whole parties to go back to Geneva and stay around the negotiation table.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi. Thank you, sir, former Assistant Foreign Minister. And as we said earlier, that the President Fattah el-Sisi has asserted that the current regional war is the topic of the hour, adding that Egypt spared no effort over the past months to avoid its eruption. And the President noted that Egypt tried many times to close ranks between the United States and Iran and to help them reach a deal, given that the wars have their repercussions on all neighboring countries. The President made these remarks as he attended the annual iftar ceremony organized by the armed forces, which coincides with the 10th of Ramadan war victory. The head of state added that there was no cause for concern. The government has been careful to secure necessary reserves, and the President said that it was essential that the state and the people stand united. short break, and we'll be back with our coverage for the U.S. Israeli strikes on Iran.